Okay, moving on to Kansas State. I want to lead off by just talking about really exciting time just this week. Homecoming, I know is a big deal for everybody. Happy for our fan base to be able to experience this week. Thank you. As far as just I think our team's in a good place right now, 3-0. Finished the non-conference undefeated, which was our goal. Obviously, moving into Game 4, start of Big 12 play, will be a fantastic atmosphere this weekend, and I know our fan base is going to be enthusiastic. The Stripe the stadium has always turned out good, so it's going to be sold out. Commend our students. Picked up 12,000 tickets. We need that place to be rowdy. We need it to be as good as atmosphere as exists in college football. I know we'll have an opportunity to do that. Got a quality team in Kansas State coming in. We understand they've been a thorn in our side here for the last few years, and our team is excited about the preparation this week and getting moving towards getting ourselves in position to be able to put our best foot forward this Saturday against a good quality, well-coached football team in Kansas State. Been talking about it for going on 5 years now. Bill Snyder's a Hall of Fame football coach. Their team's always going to be prepared to play. It doesn't matter what their record is. It doesn't matter what year we're talking about. He's put together quality football teams for years and years and years, and has been at Kansas State for a long time, and has built that place up to what you currently see. So it's the same outfit it's always been. They're going to be extremely well coached. They're going to be very disciplined. They're going to be tough on all three sides, and it's going to be our biggest challenge yet. They went out to Stanford and almost beat those guys, which Stanford's a top 10 team. Then they've taken care of business at home the last 2 weeks. So defensively, they're extremely stout, #1 in the country, and pretty much every category. So pretty much the same people that they had last year. And they're good. They're sound. They're hard to move the ball against. They're sure tacklers, and they got guys with a lot of experience. Offensively, it's they lost some guys up front, but every one of their skill positions has guys with a lot of experience. They got the quarterback back that they lost earlier in the year last year. The Ertz kid's been there for a while. He's tough. He can run. They can run Q power with him. They can run zone read with him and move him around. But then they can also have him sitting in the pocket, play action wise, or just spreading it out. And got some quality receivers. Some returning receivers and a couple of new guys that make them a little different than what they've been like in the past. So that in their run game, we know is always going to be good. We got our work cut out for us on defense. What BYU did to us with the big line and the gritty quarterback, the big back, the tight ends and fullbacks, that we didn't handle it as well as we have in the past, and got a big week in order to get better, and I know we will. What's been the difference in the game the last couple of years against these guys have been special teams. We may take 90% of our practice time here in the next couple of days and just focus on special teams. I don't want to sit up here and just say I've been disappointed in what we've done. I thought special teams have been very solid the first 2 games. Our punt team has been good. Our PAT field goal teams have been good. Even our punt return team has been better than what it has in years past. So kickoff, return, we got to get better. You just look at our average starting field position. It's the worst that has ever maybe been in college football a week ago. And then we put our defense in bad situations by not being able to cover kicks the appropriate way. Kansas State and Sean Snyder is as good as anybody in the country at it. They got us last year. They got us 2 years ago. If you think we may obsess over it a little bit, then you're probably right. So we gotta get better in those units, and we will practice hard on it this week. So, with that, we'll take some questions.
So the special teams, is it personnel or is it execution? What do you work on?
It's always all of it. If you're deficient in any of it, then you're gonna get exposed. We're gonna make some personnel changes. We're gonna change some scheme things. We're gonna focus on it and make it an emphasis. And I think you'll see, and it's not just kickoff team, it's kickoff return team as well. We're gonna change some people. There's some guys out there that weren't ready to play yet. You always try to put young guys in positions to be able to get some reps on special teams in order to see where they're at. We got a lot of inexperienced guys. We put some guys out there that weren't quite ready to go. We looked at that, and if it takes putting starters on there, then we will. If they need rest, then they'll rest on offense or defense. Our goal is to not get beat on special teams, and that's a huge goal this week. So all of the above: scheme, coaching, emphasis, personnel, effort, technique. You can say it's everything, and that's kickoff and kickoff return.
Dana, on your kickoffs, is the goal always touchbacks, or are you still trying to?
Yes.
10 guys inside of 10.
No. I mean, I know what the Patriots do. We're not there. We can't place the ball like that. We can't do that. We can't. Our hang time was bad. Our ball placement was bad. We need to work on trying to get it where we need to. If you can get that thing in the end zone, and then that's great. It takes an awful lot of talent to be able to do what you just said. And we're not there. I think BYU did a good job of that. If you look at what they did, their kicker was really talented, and their hang time was really good, and that ball landed anywhere from the 1 to the -1 every time. So we're not there.
And what are you going to do with Josh Lambert?
He should help. He should help with that. We're going to evaluate it, and I've been very happy with Mike Molina. When he stepped in without any experience at all, he stepped in 5 of 6 on field goals. Made every extra point. Handled all the kickoff duties. And didn't have his best day. So he needs to continue to get better. By having Josh come back, he will be able to create competition and alleviate the fact that Mike's our only guy to be able to handle those duties. So what exactly Josh does, we'll work hard this week to see how we divvy it up. And what we end up doing this week may change for the next week. It's good to be able to have 2 guys to be able to handle those loads, and we will evaluate where they're at and see what we need to do. They'll both see action.
Coach, Heath and Pringle seem like they have some pretty good return numbers for K-State, and it's one thing to maybe scheme things different, put some new faces on special teams, but is it difficult to simulate what those 2 guys will give you will show you guys on game day?
I don't think it's hard to simulate it, seeing how we just saw some pretty good stuff last week, right? Against Missouri, we saw a guy that led the nation in kickoff returns a couple years ago. So I'm not taking anything away from Pringle. He's been a pretty good addition for him. He's a junior college guy that came in and didn't have big numbers in junior college, but is different. He's a good player. The Burns kid they had last year at kick return was an All-American. Right. The Lockett kid they had 2 years ago was an All-American. I'm assuming it probably has something to do with the scheme and their emphasis and how they coach it. So the Heath, the punt returner, is second in the league, top 10 guy in the country.
Right.
The Lockett kid they had a couple years ago, when it comes to punt return, they got one on us out here 2 years ago. Might have something to do with their scheme. Sean Sutton's as good as there is. We got to be on guard and work hard this week in countering what he's going to be able to do.
Have you seen enough on these guys? I mean, you got the Stanford game, and you got 2 blowouts in half a game. Have you seen enough tape to know what they've got?
You can go back 5 years ago and look at it.
Personnel's different, though.
No, it is, but last year. Defensively, it's not. They got a lot of returning guys. They're pretty entrenched with their program to where they got a lot of depth that you'll see from year in to year out. From an offensive guy looking at their defense, I'm good. I know who they are, and a lot of returning guys. They got really good players. They got better and better and better and better throughout the course of last year. You can see their improvement. Showed it against us. And then they go out, and a lot of the same bodies are out there stopping Stanford, who's pretty good offensively. So, and then they've shut out their opponent basically the last two weeks. So, no, we are offensively. They're creative. We know who their bodies are. You got a pretty decent sample size of that, so no worries at all.
You've juggled your offensive line the first few games. Do you think you're in a spot now where you got a 5 you're going to stick with, or is there still maybe some movement out there?
Pankey played really well at tackle. Was really happy with him sliding in there. BYU's rush was good. It was a little different than what we saw the previous two. I mean, Youngstown's got draft picks, and Missouri's got draft picks. BYU's got depth and good players up front, and I thought Pankey did a great job of sliding into that role. Looked more comfortable as a tackle now than he has in years past. Colton's going to continue to get better. It takes away from depth on the inside, which is what's concerning at this point. We got to get a couple of guys ready to go.
Do you still plan on trying to rotate Colton and Marcel?
Yeah, they're 50-50 right now.
Dan, I don't think Toyes played last Saturday, and then Crawford missed pretty much most of 3 quarters. I don't know if that had anything to do with the back end, but how does that shape up for this weekend as far as who you have available?
Yeah, Toyes didn't make the trip. He got hurt. I don't know when it was. Mid-game, Youngstown. I think he went out in the second quarter against Youngstown. It was a Friday decision. He's either getting on the bus going or he wasn't, and he couldn't, so he didn't play. But we're expecting him back. Crawford didn't play in the second half. He's got a shoulder. Let's see how he looks this week. Depth is when you take away Drayvon, you take away Crawford, you take away Toyes. I mean, depth is an issue. So hopefully those guys can go.
And if you coached a lot of good receiving quarters, where does this one stand now? In particular, Shelton,
Getting better. It's not close to some of the ones we've had in the past. I want you to print that and tweet it, all that stuff, blast it everywhere. But they're getting better. They're getting better. Javon got better last week. Karans was a little inconsistent. They covered the keel, which we knew that was going to happen at times. Opened up, we did a lot of underneath stuff, which was good. Threw it to our backs a lot, which was good. Shelton's great. I've said this. I mean, he can track the ball. He's got a different gear. I mean, that dude is as goofy as he is. I mean, that guy can track the ball like I've never seen. And not only can he track it, he catches it well over his shoulder, but he tracks it and somehow always finds another gear, which he can be running at a very, very high level fast, and then all of a sudden you can see another gear to go get the ball. So as good as I've had when it comes to that. It was good to see him catch a couple of balls underneath and make some things happen. That was different than what I've seen out of him. He continues to get better, and I know that entire receiving crew will continue to do that.
A year ago, he had trouble with his hands. What has happened because now, he's making some great catches and holding on.
He never had trouble with this. He had trouble with this. So just, I think Coach Carrier has been good for him. He ball drills these guys more than I've seen. So these guys are doing that. The relationship with Skylar is good. The timing is good. I said this a lot last year where, sometimes those guys aren't where they need to be, which is why the pass game didn't work out, which is why the ball looks like it's sailed or it was an incomplete. receiver was never in the right spots. That happened a lot. I'm seeing a lot less of that at this point right now.
I think like with Javon, the things you guys did underneath to sort of force him into the offense and get him going. But also noticed some of the vertical route you ran right next to Shelton, it looked like one of them
It was
had to
not in
call
the right
ball.
spot. It's part of the learning curve with the new spot. Okay, and if you looked in the second half, we ran the same thing and he was in the right spot. So there's a learning curve with much like what we were talking about last year with some of these other guys not being in the right spots. You know, this year it's Javon who's in a new position, and we're trying to deal with him not being in the right spots. So, but it's getting better. And from game 1 to game 2 to game 3, it's been much better for him. He'll continue to improve it now.
Over the last few years, when people have thought of the Big 12, they thought of some of the really high-scoring, dynamic offenses in this league. Heading into conference play this year, what do you think characterizes the Big 12 in 2016?
Well, I mean, there's still, 6 teams averaging over 500 yards a game. It's still an offensive league. I mean, we're averaging more than we're a point less than where we were at the end of the year last year. The points were 8. So much for my emphasis. But we're 8th in the league at 33 points a game. So it looks to me like it's still offense. There's a lot of points being scored. There's a lot of teams doing a lot of good things on that side of the ball. Looks pretty wide open to me, but it usually is. Whoever usually gets picked is usually not the team that wins it anyway. So I know some people are down on the Big 12 right now, but you know, a lot of teams playing a lot of good teams. So what I always say, man, just get judged at the end of the year. Let's get a bunch of teams into bowl games and see how we fare after that. It's pretty competitive.
Seeing a lot of college teams run a quarterback, but Kansas State seems to do it, I mean, in a unique fashion, like the power stuff they run, people have it, nobody does it as much as them, is that fair?
Yeah, they invented Q Power. I wish we would have ran Q Power a little better last week on 4th. We've had a lot of success with Q Power. We didn't execute it very good last week, but they do it for a living. We're not going to run Q Power for a living. We're going to do some creative things with Skyler, who runs some different things and spread sets really well. Some draw stuff, some designed runs. I think he does a good job of that. By no means are we going to do it like Kansas State does it. I think they invented it, and so they're really good at it. It's a challenge to stop.
Talk a little bit about Sean Walters and how he's come along. I mean, he came in as a small guy, had to wait his turn, and now seems to be an important player.
He's doing good. He's doing good. Been here for a long time. 10th semester. Probably has 3 or 4 degrees by now. But has always been hurt. You know, overcame a lot of injuries. I think the game slowed down for him. Doing a better job.
What do you think now?
Made a play at the end of the game. Got in the backfield and got a quarterback hurry, and then made a play to seal the game. Maurice gets credit for it, but it wouldn't have happened without Nana. 5th-year senior, another one of these guys that's just like Sean, that been around for a long time. I remember 5 years ago against Baylor, he was out there at corner. They scored a lot, and so he's been around for a long time. It was good to see him make plays in sport. He's important for us on special teams. He's a nickelback guy, depth guy, but got in when he was needed and made a play. So, pretty excited for that.
Any talk from you, especially, or the other coaches about 0-4 against this team? Do you need to talk to these guys about?
No, you guys will handle that for us.
Being a finish like that where the offense builds a lead and the defense can't hold it, and then the offense has a chance to put it away, and kind of a fluke turnover happens, and the defense kind of saves the day. It looked like Tyler found Maurice and was very happy about
Give
that.
him a big hug.
Yeah, and you get in the bus and go back. What can something like that do for just change? I don't know. It's not changing everything. You're still 3-0, but it could have been much different, and you have good momentum coming into this.
It builds a team, like it really does. You know, offense was feeling pretty good about themselves after 3 quarters. Scored on 4 of our. We only had 7 possessions, and we're in the 4th quarter. And scored touchdowns on 4 of them. Feeling pretty good. That's good offense. Feeling pretty good about themselves. You know, defense gave up some stuff. You know, wasn't getting the ball back. Wasn't very good on 3rd down. Kickoff return. We're developing really bad field position. You know, if it ended like that, then it would just been with a 16-point lead or whatever, then ho hum. But now all of a sudden, offense has adversity and doesn't do their job very good, and defense has to get a couple of turnovers. You know, and that's great for team building. That's winning as a team. And in order to be able to win a lot, that's got to happen. I mean, offense has got to be able to go in there and do some good things when defense is struggling. And defenses have got to go in there and do some things when offense is struggling, because it's going to happen in every game for the rest of the year. And so if your team can sense that and do that, then